In geopolitics, every decision comes with trade-offs. But sometimes, a single choice can trigger consequences far beyond expectations. Today, we're breaking down a complex situation involving Pakistan, global power dynamics, and a diplomatic move that could reshape the region. Pakistan is facing a serious dilemma right now, and it's not just political, it's deeply strategic. What once sounded like friendly praise from global leaders may actually come with a heavy cost. Behind the scenes, pressure is building. And that pressure is centered around one major demand: recognizing Israel as a country. This isn't just a small diplomatic step. It's part of a much bigger push tied to something called the Abraham Accords, an initiative aimed at normalizing relations between Israel and several countries, especially in the Middle East and beyond. Now here's where things get complicated. If Pakistan agrees to this, it wouldn't just be a policy shift, it would require a complete transformation of its long-standing foreign stance. In fact, even symbolic elements like its passport would need to change. Right now, Pakistan's passport clearly states that it is valid for all countries except Israel. So imagine the scale of change being asked here. But the real challenge isn't just diplomatic, it's domestic. Inside Pakistan, public sentiment on this issue runs deep. A large portion of the population strongly opposes recognizing Israel, largely due to religious beliefs and long-standing support for Palestine. Any government that attempts this move could face massive protests, public outrage, and potentially political collapse. And that's exactly why resistance is already visible. Pakistan's leadership has begun signaling that they are not willing to move forward with this proposal. Officials have openly rejected the idea of joining the Abraham Accords, making it clear that such a step clashes with the country's core principles. Now, this rejection could have consequences. Global alliances are often driven by interests, not emotions. The same leaders who once showed support can quickly change their tone if their expectations aren't met. If Pakistan refuses to align with this initiative, its relationship with key global powers could shift dramatically. So why is this issue so significant? To understand that, we need to look at the concept behind the Abraham Accords. The term Abraham comes from the shared roots of three major religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. These are often called Abrahamic religions because they trace their origins back to a common figure, Abraham. The idea behind the Accords is simple on the surface. Use this shared heritage as a foundation for peace and cooperation. But in reality, it's also about strategy. For Israel, the goal is to break out of diplomatic isolation and build formal relationships with more countries. And so far, several nations have already taken that step. However, even today, there are still multiple countries that do not officially recognize Israel. These include nations across Asia, the Middle East, and beyond. Some for religious reasons, others for political or historical ones. Pakistan stands firmly in that group. And unlike some other countries, its position is deeply tied to its identity as a religious state. Over the years, its policies, both domestic and international, have been shaped heavily by ideological commitments. That's why this situation is so tense. On one side, there's international pressure and potential strategic benefits. On the other, there's strong internal opposition and the risk of political instability. It puts Pakistan's leadership in a very difficult position. If they agree, they risk backlash from their own people. If they refuse, they risk damaging important global relationships. Either way, there's a cost. At the same time, broader regional tensions, especially involving countries like Iran, are adding another layer of complexity. Efforts at mediation haven't produced major results so far, and global powers are continuing their own actions independently. So now, expectations are shifting. If diplomatic cooperation doesn't materialize in one area, pressure simply moves to another, and recognition of Israel has become a key focus point. What happens next could define the future of Pakistan's foreign relations. Will it take the risk and attempt a historic shift? Or will it stand firm and face the consequences internationally? One thing is certain, this situation is far from over. And whatever decision is made, it's likely to trigger major reactions, both inside the country and across the global stage.